Hello and welcome to another Miss Alley Cat DIY video. Today I have two Target dollar spot DIYs to show you. I am super excited. These were so much fun to make. Without any further ado, here is the first DIY, this cute little house decor piece. So let's get started. From the Target dollar spot section, I picked up this adorable Love Grows Here little sign. It looks like a house, and this was $3. And then this is optional, but I did have this on hand. A little while back I got this little square of Boxwood greenery from Michael's. I had a coupon, so I will be using a couple sprigs of this plant. From Dollar Tree, I got these 3 bunches of cherry blossoms. I already had these flowers on hand. You could of course use whatever flowers you wanted. I just love these cherry blossoms because the flower is really small, so it's great for projects. I do have a bunch that are a lighter pink, and then some that are a darker pink, and then these that are like an off-white color. And so I will be using a little bit of all of these flowers. And then I had this on hand, as you can tell. It's some moss from Dollar Tree, and I won't be using all of this, but just some of it. And this is optional, but I had these paint pins on hand. These are my RTQ pins. Not sure if I said that correctly, but I have a bright pink and a white paint pen. You can also use regular paint or just skip the paint completely. Anytime you use a paint pen, don't forget to shake it well. So here I am just painting the word love with the pink. I wanted to make it nice and bright and springy. I wanted it also to match my bright pink flowers that I'm going to be putting on this display. You could skip the paint like I said, or you could make it more farmhousey with more muted colors if you want. You can do however you would like it. And then I did go in with my white paint pen and I painted the other 2 words. This is super optional. All it really did was make the words a little bit less muted, a little bit less matte, so the finish was the same as the word love. And now I'm just going in with some moss. I'm just using hot glue and gluing it down in sections all along the top of this little display house. Then I did take some moss and hot glue it to the very front of the house so that it looked a little bit more finished, and also so the moss looked like it was growing on the front as well. And then I thought it would be really cute to take some moss and put it on the very bottom of this little house. I just thought that would add a nice little touch and make it super cute. And then I decided to put like a strip of moss kind of growing up the side of the house on both sides. I thought that would be really cool instead of just one big thick piece of moss on the side. Thought it would give it a little bit more character. And I did have to balance it up against another object so that I could do that. Alright, so now the real fun part begins. I took some of that boxwood. It has these little teeny tiny white flowers, and then the boxwood, I put a sprig of each on one side, and then one of those cherry blossoms. I just kind of had fun with it and put different flowers in different places. I did avoid putting the cherry blossom flowers on the roof just because I thought proportionate wise that wouldn't look quite so right. And then I also stuck some of that boxwood on the other side just to even it out, and I thought that was really cute. And then I took my scissors and I actually cut that a sprig of the boxwood in half. This worked pretty well. I did, some of the leaves kind of fell off, but what I ended up with was this really cool half of a piece of boxwood that was a lot flatter. So the reason why I did that is I thought it would be really cool on the roof. And as you can see, I really like how that cut in half, and then I was able to glue that to the top of the roof. And I did do that a couple of times. I also took some of those leaves that fell off and just kind of glued them and stuck them into the roof on like various parts of the roof, just because I thought that looked really cute, like there was little leaves growing in the moss. So here is this first DIY all finished. I think it's absolutely delightful. The little house turned out so charming. I just love how I put the boxwood in the moss and the little flowers inside of like the house part. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and stay tuned for the next DIY from Target Dollar Spot. And for the last DIY in this video, I made this welcome banner. It turned out very lovely, and I hope you enjoy. So let's get on into this DIY. From the Target Dollar Spot section, I picked up this welcome banner. It was $3 and it is made out of wood. You're also going to need some moss sheets. I used this one moss sheet and some leftover moss sheets that I already had on hand. So here is what the banner looks like right out of the packaging. It is very delightful on its own, but I wanted to do, of course, something a little extra to it, so stay tuned for that. So the first thing we need to do is unstring our banner. To do this, I simply untied the knot on the side of the W. You only need to untie one knot, and then I just took out all of the string from each letter. Set your string aside. We will be using that later on in this DIY. So take your wood letter and hot glue the top of your wood letter on the side that has the design. You want to make sure that it's on the side that has the design, because that's your front of your letter, and you don't want to put it on the back because then it would just be upside down. So go ahead and hot glue that to the back of your moss sheet. Be sure to press it down pretty firmly so that your moss sheet is attached to your letter. So with my rotary cutting mat underneath everything so I don't hurt my table, I'm taking my X-Acto knife and I'm just pressing pretty firmly down and simply cutting out the letter. So take your time with this, especially on the parts of the letter that are a little bit intricate and small. This process is a little bit time consuming, but in the end the letters turn out so darling, so in my mind it is totally worth it. And once you have cut out the shape of your letter, if you have any bald spots, simply pick up some of that moss and hot glue it to your wood letter. And when I did this, I found that using scissors was a lot easier to trim off any excess bits that were going over the edges. So for each letter, the process is the same. I did find that in some of the longer parts of the letter, it was easier to use scissors, so just find whatever works for you. I wanted to let you know also, if you end up with not having larger pieces of the moss sheets, you can put two pieces together so that you have a big enough piece to fit your letter. Once you glue it to the letter, you can't even tell. I ended up doing this for a few of my letters just because I feel like it's a good way to save money, and I didn't want to go out and buy more moss when I really didn't need to. So it works really very well. Like you can see, I am putting multiple pieces together to fit my letter, and then I'll cut it out the same way that we did before. So now that each letter has moss on it, it's time to decorate. Now I'm just taking those cherry blossoms that we used in the previous DIY, and I'm just kind of messing around with how I want them on my letters. You of course can put them however your heart desires, or you can put whatever you want on your letters as well. just avoid the holes that our string is going to be going through. So that will be at the top of each letter. So if you avoid those, you should be good to go. And so now I'm just hot gluing those flowers where I decided to put them. And I did end up having to trim off a little bit of the bud, just so that they laid flat to my letter when I glued them. This part of the DIY was seriously my favorite. I had so much fun figuring out where to put all of my little greenery bits. I used the little leaves from my Boxwood little square that I had on hand that I showed earlier. I loved putting the little leaves inside of the moss, like they're sticking into the moss. I just thought that was so adorable. And so yeah, there's no rhyme or reason for how I did it. I just put them where I thought it was really cute, so just have fun with it. So taking an object like an ice pick, or I'm using a screwdriver, we're going to take that object and re-poke the holes back in each of our letters. If you tip the letter upside down, you'll see where the hole was on the wood piece, and so you just stick that object through that hole and remake the hole again. Now taking the E, the last letter in the word welcome, and I'm taking my thread and just poking it through that hole. Now I've already previously gone through and re-put in all of the holes with my screwdriver, or you can also use an ice pick or something like that. Now you want to take that thread or string, whatever you want to call it, and push it back up through the back of the letter, just like I'm showing in the video, and you want to continue this for each of your letters. Oh my goodness, I am in love with how this sign turned out. I think it's bursting with personality. Each letter is so unique, but at the same time, I think that it all fits together very well, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I did end up putting this on my front porch for a couple of reasons. It was the best place to get the best lighting at the time, and I wanted to be able to show you guys just how cute it really is. It still doesn't entirely capture, the video doesn't, how magnificent the colors are, but you get the idea. And I also loved it on my front porch because my front porch is covered, so it won't experience too much weather, and that way when people come to our house, they see this sign. With that being said, I wouldn't put the sign anywhere that it's going to get too much weather or get rained on. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed these Target dollar spot DIYs. These were super easy to make, and I had so much fun doing so. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to pounce on that like button and hit subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, go ahead and click on that bell so you can be notified every single time that I upload a new video. With that being said, I hope you all have a wonderfully perfect day, and until next time, this is Miss Alley Cat DIY signing off. Bye!